was as excited as I was about halftime. First of all, let me just say, all the things that you didn't know. If Sheila, you were a man, I would ask you to have my baby. And the only reason not to ask Bad Bunny, though I would, is just not a great singing voice, and I think there's not a lot of instruments that he could play. But I don't know. What does it have to do with anything? So I'll get into it. But the Super Bowl itself, does anybody else wonder what Gaga was doing there? I do. So I didn't really care about football or the Super Bowl. I don't watch football throughout the year. I watch basketball. As we've seen, I watch basketball. I watch sometimes baseball. We don't cover on my sports show. We don't cover a lot of football. But I was debating whether or not I wanted to cover Super Bowl. We didn't get tickets, so it's pointless to do unless you're talking about TV, right? But so I just wanted to come on and do a live and talk about it. I'm super excited, one, that the Patriots didn't win. Now, I think the whole thing about everybody just not going for the Patriots is just the fact that it's called the Patriots. And right now, people who are truly patriotic are being a little bit I don't have a lot of kind words for that, but you know what I'm saying. So we want to be against anything that represents that. And unfortunately, that took place at the Super Bowl and in football. But in general, like Tom Brady came to this city, probably promotional to get you to be on the Patriots side and want them to win or whatever. But he's retired. The thing about him being part of that was that he cheated in the game, right? The whole football scam a long time ago. So ever since then, I have cut the Patriots. So I liked Gronk. I think he's also retired. I liked him. I thought that he was a little bit too party hardy, and that's more celebrity than it is football player. Like though I've gained some weight, football players I feel should be athletes, and so there are very, very few basketball players and baseball players that are out of shape, and football has been known to show off the guys that are heavier. And it's not always necessarily a healthy, heavy, like it's fat versus big boned or something, right? And so it's not about body shaming. I don't want to get all of these comments about body shaming, but, some of them are just out of shape, and it works for football because the short sprints, and the heavier you are, the stronger you are, the more weight you can carry, the more weight you can push, etc. So that's why it's allowed in that game. But I feel like we have this thing about people representing other people and what they look like. And I think that was really geared towards people of color. But in football, they've used the excuse that their players are really big with big bellies to connect with the audience. And a lot of the football fans are out of shape, big guys, used to play football in high school, got an injury or whatever, or never played, but just it feels familiar. And, you connect to that, seeing somebody that looks like you. And I feel like, unfortunately, we got this, I'm going to say a lot of unfortunately's, but in America, we got this reputation from other countries think that we're just fat and lazy. And it's because although baseball, here's one of the things I wanted to say in the beginning of the show. Baseball is America's favorite pastime. If you don't remember that, if you didn't, we were taught that in school. It's in a history book. And I don't know if that's been changed or whatever with all the changing of the books in schools, but America's favorite pastime is baseball, not football. The only reason people pay attention to football is because of the Super Bowl. Who's going to be at Super Bowl? I don't think that game is as enjoyed by athletes that are not football players as the rest of the sports, honestly. What I mean by that is people who are in shape and really focus on their health and their body and their performance versus, you know, I think the majority of people who are hugely obsessed with football are alcoholics, on their way to be alcoholics, drug addicts, on their way to being drug addicts, and don't really like the fast pace of basketball because it's too much to pay attention to. And then baseball is just too slow, so it puts them to sleep. So football's sort of in the middle there for the people who are on drugs or drinking. And those are the only people that can get with it. Whereas the rest of us can watch football, have a meal, have a discussion. We don't really care what's going on there because we can click on it, you know, and understand what's going on if we check every 10 minutes. But in basketball, you got to be able to watch it. Or you miss something and you don't know what happened, right? So there's less focus that is necessary for football, for the viewing of football. And so I feel like more recently, they've got less and less players that are really, really huge and don't really watch their diet or their health. And baseball's got some of that, but you see like maybe one or two players like that in the NBA. So that's why I focus on basketball. It's for the influence in sports. It's the ideal athlete, I think, is the basketball player. In baseball, we love the bodies for the behinds, the big behinds as far as ladies go, and, you know, people love men. But that's kind of the attraction to it. And so they try to keep that part of themselves really in shape. But the lower body is really important for the game in general. So it makes the players more attractive, and that makes people want to watch anything. But I think that football has really focused on celebrity. So because of the Super Bowl becoming such a great big deal with Michael Jackson's first performance there, which, let me remind you, you may not know this, okay? One of the things I should have said in the beginning, and I didn't write a plan to write these down and say them all in the beginning, and I forgot. So I'm sorry. But Michael Jackson did not want to do the Super Bowl. Look it up. Watch some other videos about it, okay? He did not want to do the Super Bowl in the first place. He didn't think they had a big enough following for him. And they suggested that they tried to convince him that the people that watch NFL are not fans of his. And he was like, 80% of the world knows who I am, or more than that. There are people in Africa, African tribes that know who I am, know my name. Are you kidding me? He got a little bit insulted, but he said, but look, if what you can provide me is, or what I can provide, whatever, the worldwide sort of viewing, anybody can watch it. It's not really about the gaining of the fans, but to those people that at the time were into the NFL, sort of like the Midwest or whatever. I want to bring a bigger issue to the table and, make a statement about it in my performance. And they agreed to that, which of course was the thing about the kids. And then the second time around to heal the world. So they allowed him to do that. So he went ahead and did it, and it wasn't about the money. And so in history, here's another thing you may not know. I don't know if you know, a lot of people have been looking up the Super Bowl, but the artists that go for the halftime are not paid. They have to get sponsored by people who are doing the commercials. And there's not really like a set fee for that. There's negotiations that have to be had in order for that performance to get paid for. The sponsors pay for that performance. Otherwise, it's coming out of the artist's pocket. So if they don't get enough sponsorships for it, they're paying for it. They're paying to be there. And the NFL needs the artists. They're using the artists, but they need the artists to keep gaining the following, to gain the views and the ratings that they need to stay on and to make it such a big deal. Without the artists at the Super Bowl, they don't have a show. Nobody's going to watch. That is a matter of fact. People don't care that much about the game than they do about the celebrity connection to it. Okay, that's why Gronk has been such a celebrity. The players are less known for their athleticism in history. I won't say in history, because there's been a lot of really great players in the past. But if you look at like Peyton Manning, who I actually really like, I'm a fan of his because he's sort of stayed in shape, his whole family, right? And he's a big guy and he's really funny, but he was able to be an athlete and still take on a sort of celebrity status, has a great sense of humor. So that guy's great, and so is Gronk. But what I mean about taking on the celebrity over being an athlete is that they date within the entertainment industry to get a name for themselves and promote branding. So football players are really good at branding. They've been better in history about branding than any other athletes in sports, in other sports. So that's something that's, I don't know if it has to do with more of them being out of college than the others. Like basketball has been known to pull people out of high school in the past. So there was this thing about most of them not being sort of dumb, not really knowing anything about life. But those players have become the greatest legends in basketball history. So, there's like this teeter-totter about what's right, what's wrong. And honestly, if people are influencing people to live a healthier, longer life, I think that's better than anything else. And the celebrity is not so important. We need to let the sport speak for itself, and your influence on athletes around the world is more important because those kids watch, right? Anyway, that's my theory. It could go on for hours. I don't really want a live to be like 4 hours long talking about football and the negative pros and cons of sport, athletes and sports and blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot that goes into it, like even just the food that they serve at the games. Like there's concession food at basketball games is mainly concession food, deep fried chicken and fries, hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza. Some of the pizza is really good, like here in this city. The Golden One Center has the best pizza I've ever had at a game anywhere. But sorry, I had a lot of soda. But the first couple of years that the Golden One Center is fairly new, maybe about a decade. I don't remember how long, but I've been in the arenas here since I was a kid. So like I was there when it was brand new, and They used to have all these healthy options, great food. We're like excited, and then I don't know, they got some better players and needed to make some sacrifices, so some of the money went down the tubes. And I think the restaurants that are at the games, serve food at the games, don't make as much enough money on the healthy foods, so they're not there anymore. There used to be this great Asian food, it's gone. There used to be sushi, it's gone. There used to be this great salad spot, it's gone. They still have tacos, but the tacos are on top of a bed of fries with nacho cheese. I'm like, this is either not a real Mexican food place, or they're just trying to satisfy. And the whole reason behind that, I think, is that those sort of fast foods are really addictive. So if you're addicted to the foods, you'll save up to spend that much on them at the games, bringing you back into the games. But that's nonsense. I think if it's healthier, better food, tastes better, people will feel better when they go home, and they'll want to continue to go to the games and pay more for it. It'll make sense that it costs more. But like, I don't know how you feel, but spending $16 on a hot dog just because it's this long, like, have you ever heard the term size doesn't matter? It just is like, no. When you can buy, for $16, you can buy 3 packs of hot dogs at the store. It's not a thing that makes sense. So I like the hot dogs, though. I do like fast food. It's just not very good for you, and I really only eat it at the games. I don't buy fast food when I'm home. I cook all the time. My kitchen is a mess right now. So, yeah, there's the food, and they do that to the people who go, the ticket buyers, the season ticket holders, etc. These kids that are growing up in sports get addicted to these foods, and it becomes really hard for them to stay on a healthy diet when they're in sports, because they think, well, everybody else is eating fried chicken. But anyway, it's hard to eliminate big business. It makes a lot of money, because it's very cheap to make. Those hot dogs are probably less than 25 cents to make, and they're making a crap load of money selling it to you for $16, right? So anyway, let's move on. So being out of shape as a football player, I feel it should be unacceptable, and they should make a bigger deal out of them getting into the gym and being more muscular rather than heavier. Baseball players have been fired and traded just because they wouldn't lose weight, even though they were the best of the best. I think it was Sosa. Sosa was traded just because he wouldn't get in the gym, but he was like, hit run, run, home run, and they let him go. Well, he helped them make all those championships. So baseball is more about the influence, because it is America's favorite pastime, and they do understand their influence on kids that want to be in the game, that they have to be athletes. They can't provide them an excuse to just be unhealthy and make it, unfair for everybody else. Like, unfair advantages is not acceptable in some of sports. But anyway, so this thing about Lady Gaga being in this, let's talk about halftime, right? In the halftime show. I'm not a big fan of hers. I think, aside from people are gonna be so mad at me, aside from her being so hard to look at, and I know she's like a big LGBTQ person, and I don't understand why. There's a lot there to say. I'm going to post a video soon about my distaste for this person and why. And there's another show that I'm doing about my experiences trying to get into the music industry and everything that's happened to prevent my career. There's a lot of stories that I have that are truly unbelievable, but very true. And all I can do is tell my story and hope that people will believe me. Looking for proof is to see if there were witnesses. And unfortunately, I've had a struggle getting lawyers to help me out in these things. So I chose just to tell my stories. You can go watch them. I'll be posting soon about Lady Gaga. I will say that it has nothing to do with the Super Bowl halftime show to tear it down, so I wanted to put it up afterwards. But also because I didn't actually know she was going to be in it. I don't watch television. I don't watch the news. Sometimes I watch TMZ. I don't, I watch like world news, Roku channels, but mostly I'm watching videos or dancing or music videos on my computer. And I watch a lot of reels. For those of you TikTokers and people do reels here on YouTube or whatever, you're who I'm watching. They're the only ones I'm watching, and I scroll through them for hours on end. I don't know how I still have an attention span, to be honest with you. But I think it's because I'm not very good at doing reels. So I like to see that as entertainment. It makes me like, wow, how did you do that? But what we do here is just basically real full dance music videos. And then I create a reel from those things. But and then I do reels on other people's dancing. But so I watch you guys, and I appreciate it if you watch me back, or if you've ever clicked on these things. If you've gotten this far in this live, 22 minutes in, I watch you. So yeah, so I had no idea that she was gonna be in it, and I don't understand why she was in it. I guess he would say that maybe she was supportive of whatever. I want you to watch that video so I can explain why I think it's a bunch of bull, that she's supportive of anything about brown people, and that it's all just a facade and to make herself bigger. And and how what you think about her is all fake and unreal. And so here's what I think, okay? Instead of her, it could have been Bruno Mars. I don't know why he wasn't asked, or if he was asked and he said, no, I haven't looked into it, right? And that's all business. A lot of people said, or like Drake said, that he didn't want to outshine him or put the attention on him, so he didn't go. And why would he want Drake to go anyway? What does that have to do with anything? I think he was just trying to make it a big to-do so that people would watch and he could get all audiences. So he needed to have somebody in English, was probably part of the agreement, or to satisfy people, that were not wanting him to be there, or maybe to satisfy the NFL so that they didn't get in total trouble. But I really wanted him to be a true advocate and just do the whole thing in Spanish. So he got a lot of praise for doing the halftime show all in Spanish, because all of his music is in Spanish, but he didn't. I mean, he's done music with artists that are in Spanish but aren't not Puerto Rican, and he didn't invite them to do those songs with him. And so that was shocking, number one. And then that he agreed to do anything in English is beyond me. Like, didn't he want the credit for doing a full show in Spanish to go against all of the naysayers? That's what I thought was going to happen. So I'm a little bit annoyed that he didn't do that. But I think it is a great thing that he did for his people. Ricky Martin was never given the halftime show stage, and that his first time had to be with them. Is kind of annoying that they picked Bad Bunny over Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin has like many more hits than Bad Bunny. He's the number one top Puerto Rican star. I think that now that Celia Cruz is gone, Tito Puente is gone, there are a lot of Puerto Rican artists, but very few who have blown away people in the English market. Even with their Spanish music, Ricky Martin was first. He was before J-Lo, and he dances. He's like great dance music. Everybody knows who he is. There's nobody that doesn't know his name. So it is a little bit annoying to me to see that he's taken the second spot to this show. I don't know. Like I'm from the 90s, and Ricky Martin was a big deal to me throughout my life. I knew him from Menudo. I knew him from the soaps. I knew him from music. And this is just a little bit shocking to me. But, the whole thing is organized by Beyonce and Jay-Z, or by Jay-Z. And Jay-Z doesn't know anything about us. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't care. So he just was looking for somebody that's really popular right now and can make a big deal out of this show. But I don't think it would have been any less of a big deal if Ricky Martin was doing it. Because Ricky Martin could have for sure just done all of his music in Spanish too. And then just did the English song that is his song in English. So I don't understand some of this stuff. I'm not against Bad Bunny. I'm actually a fan. I like him. I like his personality. I like his image. Whether any of it's real, I don't know, right? Because I don't speak Spanish very well. I just speak it a little bit. Enough to get by. Like, if I want to buy an ice cream or something, I don't need ice cream. A yogurt. A frozen non-dairy and blah. So... So I'm doing all right. I don't understand all of the lyrics to his music. I have to look it up, But I listen to it. We do a lot of salsa here, so I dance to his music. It's very popular, and I'm not against him. Like I said, I'm a fan, but I don't know. He's such a... I guess what he's done is really powerful for his people, and there's a lot of comparisons being made that I feel a little bit weird, because he's still fairly new. Taking over a decade, you really have to see how long it continues. You don't become legendary until your 20th year, I think, but we can see whether or not it's possible for you after a decade. So I think that's what's happening there. It's really been about a decade, and we'll see how long he can hold on. But taking the SuperBowl show with all of this controversy is a big, boost for his career, I think. But also, here's the other thing I wanted to mention in the beginning. He's not the first Puerto Rican to take the SuperBowl stage. He's just the first one to do songs in Spanish. And I think that Prince actually did one of his Spanish songs on stage, a song that has some Spanish in it, on the SuperBowl stage. So Prince was the first. If you don't know it, he's Puerto Rican. Bruno Mars is Puerto Rican, but they're not getting full credit because they're not all in Spanish, and they're not 100% Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico, Spanish as a first language. So it's always been like, as a Mexican American, I sort of identify with that because there's some disrespect to you, people who are from the place with the language as a first language don't have as much love for you, regardless of your amount of success, as somebody who does come from there and speak the language as their first language. And that's just like, because they know you're going to get love from people all over the world, right? But so I think one of the important things about Bad Bunny being such a big deal right now is that it's showing that it doesn't matter whether or not you are from the place and speak Spanish as a first language. It doesn't matter, because you can still be that big, right? You're still that big around the world. That's what Ricky Martin did, Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, all of them, you know, people, they're representatives in Spanish, from all of them. I know, like Celia Cruz, I don't think she's Puerto Rican. Is she? It's Cuban, right? Oh my God. So I forgot my information. Anyway, you know, all of those people that rep for it, they were first to do that. So how this is becoming such a big deal is so strange to me. Like, it's a phenomenon that has never happened before. Is false information. It's like they keep trying to erase the past as if everything that's happening after 2024 is new and never has been done before. So here's the other thing. I was talking about Sheila E. in the beginning. Something that is not really been erased, but discredited or uncredited or not given enough attention, is that Sheila E. is Mexican. I don't know if people know that. She's Mexican, with Creole descent, it says on the internet. So I'm like 1% Black, and that's only on one side. I'm not sure about the other side, but it's clear. My mom's really, really dark. It's clear that we're Black, right? So we could probably have some Black or African slave ancestry in history, and so that's all something that's very common with people in California. And Sheila E. is from Oakland in California. And that's the thing, that they did the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. Sheila E. is not just a singer, she's a percussionist. She has been compared to some of the greatest percussionists in history, like Tito Puente, and has even taken on salsa music, even though she doesn't speak Spanish very well. She has a salsa album or a salsa song. I think she did it with Gloria Estefan. Gloria Estefan, you remember Gloria Estefan? She's Cuban. Spanish is the first language. And I don't know that she's done Super Bowl. I don't think she's done Super Bowl either. But that's different. She's not Puerto Rican. So I think that Sheila E., though she's not Puerto Rican, has done a lot to appreciate Puerto Rican culture and music. Not just her own. And she didn't just take on like freestyle and just do what every other Mexican was doing in California. She took all of the different cultures and made something very new and fresh with, some collaborations with people like Prince, who are Puerto Rican, or has been associated with the greatest names in music history since before Selena Quintanilla was even popular in Spanish music. Now, early 80s or mid 80s, Selena was becoming one of the more popular female Tejano singers. Tejano was fairly new, since the late 70s, I think, new genre. And she was one of the first females, if not the first female, to have a hit. And the hit was a remake of another song. So I think it's Sukiyaki, right? So she was making hits with covers in the mid 80s, while Sheila E. was already top number one in America, in America, around the world even, and associated with Puerto Rican, some of the top Puerto Rican artists, Prince. So, you know, she was a legend before Selena was making any sort of stride. Selena's obviously a queen. I'm big, I mean, she's influenced me in so many different ways, okay? But when I found out that Sheila E. was Mexican, it blew my mind. I was like, why doesn't she get credit for this? Everybody thinks she's, I think this is like the biggest music history cover up, like for the purpose of her needing, them wanting her to move ahead without anybody saying, no, you can't do this. Because if they thought that she was Mexican, they would tear her down because she looks Black or she looks Puerto Rican. They want her to be the more acceptable. And if you remember, Apollonia is Mexican American, also from, I think, LA. And she had the hit Sex Shooters, which was written by Prince. She's always talked about being Mexican, never shy to say it. One hit, one movie, never saw her again, right? So yeah, Sheila E. sort of took note, which was really smart at the time. But that's the sort of the thing that entertainment did to us, the industry did to us. And I feel so foolish and kind of stupid that I didn't know that until recently. And it's very upsetting to me that that's not something that she needed, that she was like making you like making a point of all the time, because it just, you know, the time she came up in. But she probably talks about it now. I don't watch too many interviews of her. I just listen to her music. Anyway, I just want to tell you that who do I think they should have had in English? I don't think they should have had anybody in English at all. Though you have that salsa vibe in, or those vibes, Latin vibes in that song that Lady Gaga was singing, because of whatever reasons. I don't know, because he's Latin, right? So he's Latino. I don't feel like they needed to do anything. There are plenty of popular Spanish songs in America that people would have recognized. It's just that that's a hit right now or hit this year. But he could have had somebody else from history if he wanted to pull another legendary artist that's, you know, brown, with that many hits and that many fans in music. He should have called Sheila E. Because that would have meant a lot right now, I think, in a lot of different ways. That's my personal opinion. I don't see what Lady Gaga has anything to do with anything. It was just like, it didn't make any sense. No sense. Nonsensical. But, you know, I think there's contracts signed for stuff like that. Anyway, those are all the things that I think you don't know about the Super Bowl, about entertainment, and, you know, in relation to the Super Bowl and Super Bowl history. So, or Super Bowl halftime history. So if there's anything else I have to talk about it, I'll do another live some other time. But that's it for today, guys. I don't know that anybody will be even watching this right now because the Super Bowl just ended. Everybody's at a party. I'll tell you what happened to me really quickly. I always watch Super Bowl with my mom. You know, she likes sports. But this year we've been having a lot of battles. So we still watch Kings basketball together. she is getting older. And she has a huge TV. She has like a movie theater TV. So I wanted to watch Super Bowl at her house.